How the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious. Welcome to my channel. A big development in the summoning festivities this week. It is all but guaranteed now. Magda, that's right, Magda, another new hero we have not talked about at all, a magic damage dealing fighter DPS, is joining us this weekend, all but certainly. So why do I say that? Well, first off, I'm not on test server right now. I'm in the global server on my normal account, and you can see in game news on new hero info, they've added Magda info. So why is that so significant? They also added Dahlia. That seems more exciting, more important, right? Well, if we pull this picture up right here, and thank you to Seamus for sharing me the screenshot from his Forerunner account, it was just announced today that there's going to be a Magna Constance banner coming this Friday, June the 14th. So that's in 4 days, right? So if we combine that information with the Magna news in-game, and then with information from the Leak Boys that have been saying a Magda Constance banner was coming to global, it seems all but certain we are going to get it this Friday. That very much will inform a lot of people's summoning choices with Dahlia, whether they go for her or when they go for her, because maybe you'll want to do a little pity manipulation, and I think we got to break down what this hero is all about. Truth be told, I don't know anything about Magda. I know she's a cultist, I know she's a fighter, I know she does magic DPS, and I know she's supposed to be pretty darn good. But I don't know her kit, I don't know nothing. So I thought I could go in here raw, give a first impression, and we can see what she is all about. It is also worth saying, guys, that in the Forerunner, as you can see here in the picture I still have pulled up, they announced the banner on Monday. That's kind of par for the course. But in our game on Global, they are always waiting till Tuesday just to keep us on the hook. But very likely, it will be the exact same banner because lately we've been pretty well in step with Forerunner. You know, in the past, they often were doing their own thing. But nowadays, the banners are matching up very, very frequently. So without further ado, let's pull this up over here. Let's break down Magda and let's see what she's all about.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Alrighty, friends, getting right on into it. Let's start with those stats, the range, all that good stuff. Does this change at max level, max promotion? No. So very nice that it's not just one single tile, it's 2 tiles in front of her. That is her standard range. Her attack, not too high at 4308. Typically, magic damage dealing fighters have a bit lower attack. You never see those like colossal 6k plus, even 7k plus attack numbers. Usually they're in like the 4,000s. This is quite similar to Valkyra, I believe. I think she's at about 4,400. We can go to the gallery really quickly and check. I'm gonna say this all the time, guys, so just get used to it. I hate that they moved the gallery to this top right thing. Very annoying. Let's see. So slightly better than Valkyra. She's coming at 4,270. Valkyra, though, just while we're here, she has some attack scaling the longer she's out in battle. This Sword of Victory, you can eventually get 8 stacks of 5% at max skill ups. So think about that. That's an extra 40% post-deployment attack boost. It takes a long time, so it needs to be a long fight. But I'm curious, the reason I mentioned that is Magna gonna get something like that, right? Let's go back to new hero info and let's see. What else do we need to check with the stats? HP solid, it's pretty good. Defense is quite good, 3350. That's very good for a fighter. So some nice tankiness there. Magic res is also pretty good. Cost a bit high at 20. With a range like this, I would have guessed she would be 18, maybe even 17. You see this range, or you see, excuse me, this cost with someone like Volca, who I guess Volca actually has the exact same range, but she brings all that other kind of stuff with her passive and support capabilities and debuffing. So very interesting. It will be very interesting to see if Magna has any of that. I legit don't know anything about her. Attack interval 2.5, a pretty unique attack interval. If you think of a typical fighter, especially like a legendary fighter with any extended range, it's usually 2.6 seconds. Someone like Arrogance is really special because he's only 2.4, so she's splitting the difference. She's coming right in at 2.5. Crit damage 150, very typical. Rage regen auto at 12 is a bit low. The typical range is 12 to 14. This is obviously the lower end of typical. But yeah, generally quite tanky. The attack is okay. Attack interval is slightly unique, but fairly par for the course. Let's get in now. We'll start with the talent. When an ally dies in range, critical damage increases by 70% for 12 seconds. 70% crit damage is a big old boost. When they're saying an ally dies in range, right, it must mean they're envisioning you have her as a fighter behind a tank. If the tank somehow dies in the tile in front of her, she's attacking 2 tiles in front of her, she gets this big boost. I mean, the range is quite limited here, right? It's only the 2 tiles in front of her, so I assume it's like there's someone tanking in front of her, another fighter, or most likely a defender. It's an okay talent. I mean, ideally your heroes don't die, right? So this is more of a contingency plan talent. I'm not in love with it. If we look here actually quickly on the descriptors of the kind of hero she is, they're saying multi-target attack and multi-strike attack. So I'm thinking multi-hitters, and then also while targeting many enemies. So this should be pretty cool. Yeah, look at that. A nice magic damage dealing AoE. I'm loving, as I will always point this out, when they say the number of enemies, that it doesn't just say AoE damage, it says to 5 enemies, maximum 5 enemies. That's really cool. 120% magic DPS AoE to 5 enemies. That's a very good basic. Similar again to, she's got another similarity to Valkyra. She's also got a little tushy, so that's again similar to Valkyra. Let's go to the ultimate now. Storming Assault, quite pricey here at 1100, but with skill ups, you can get it down to 900. Also, let me mention, I should have mentioned this earlier. I did a bit in the intro, but she is a cultist fighter, so pretty darn unique. I think the only cultist fighters in the game are Cerberus, Uridin, Aatrox, and Cyrene. If you don't know, to clear stage 12 of the cultist faction trials, you need 3 fighters, and most people don't have Uridin, so basically it requires you to have the 2 epics, Aatrox and Cyrene, and then also Cerberus. Now you have another option, right? So if you're able to snag her, I think maybe for some people you'll be able to finish that faction trial. That's very nice. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. There's the cost reminded me because I was like, ooh, is she like an esotericist? No, wait, she's a cultist. This can go down to 900, which is actually totally reasonable. And what I'm liking what I see here, again, reminding me of Valkyra, base ultimate duration. I know a lot about Valkyra, guys. From my Gear Raid 4 days, I know a lot about Valkyra. Base duration on the ultimate of 20 seconds, then can go up to 25, and then go up to a full 30 seconds. So very, very similar, kind of just like a cultist version of Valkyra here. But really cool, less of the weird stuff with consume a shield and this happens or this happens. But the 30-second duration here with multi-target, multi-strike, this is where this is coming in. So, and it's going to be a kind of a boosted basic is how this is reading, right? Now each attack, so I'm assuming each basic attack is a triple hitter, so a 3-striker. And it's going to deal 160% AoE damage as opposed to the 120 with skill ups. So that's 33% more potent, but honestly, a lot more than that because that's per hit, but each hit's a triple hitter. So it's really 300, or let me do the math, 480% per hit, right? Because it's 160, 160, 160. So you're definitely going to want to build a good amount of attack speed on her. These certainly are going to be qualifying as basic attacks. That's always nice to see because that means a lot of sets are going to be very viable on her. Obviously Soulbound Arcana is still broken. It's still the best set in the game for basically any kind of... Her animation is so cool. Just look at that, guys. But Soulbound Arcana is just going to be the best for everything just because of the way it's bugged. But because these are going to count as basic attacks, she's going to be a great candidate for Infernal Roar. I'd say probably not an excellent candidate for Ageless Wrath because that's more for people that have super high attack already or are like ignoring defense. So you can get away with just, building the crit damage to the moon. But she'll have some nice flexibility in how you can gear her. This is pretty nice though. 30 seconds doing all that with 900 costs. I think it's cool. With the 2.5 second interval, you could get her going pretty quick. Or you get her to like 1.2 seconds in a really, really speedy build. Let's go to the passives now. Let's see what else we get there. The caster and allies in range gain penetration increase and damage increase. So that's interesting. They're saying the allies in range, but again, guys, it's gonna be one ally in range. If you had 2 allies in her range, right? Then she wouldn't be hitting anyone because the tiles she would be able to target enemies with would be completely, the spots would be completely filled by her allies. Let's see what that penetration increase looks like. So it's going to ignore 10% of all defense and magic resist, so it's a full penetration. 10% is cool, 15% is cooler, so you're going to want to fully skill her up. Also going to give a damage increase. That's going to be another 10% and can go up to 20%. So basically, this is just, she always gets this, right? So if you wanted to put like an Abomination in front or a Magmus or, when Jira comes, one of these tanky fighters that's going to be put, or maybe if you had like a Reeve and like a DPS build, so a damage dealing defender, maybe a Cyrus. I guess Cyrus wouldn't really work because the skeletons would mess everything up with her. She wouldn't have anyone to hit. But, a Gon maybe. You have some kind of tanky figure but with some good DPS, they could really benefit from this, and obviously she's always going to be benefiting from this. So I will actually say she's always ignoring, since it's magic damage she does, you don't really care about defense, but you care about the magic res on the enemies, and she's always ignoring 10% of magic res, so that just means you need like 10% less attack to clear those thresholds with really hard content, exceeding those limits to make sure you apply really good defense. So this 4308 attack is not nearly as bad as it looks. It's going to be more in the realm of like 4,700 for someone that isn't ignoring 10%, right? So that's very nice. The damage boost should be pretty cool too. So far, a very easy to understand, and we haven't had that in a while. When I broke down the 6 new heroes in my video 2 or 3 days ago, go check that out. When I did that, a lot of those were like full dissertations, each skill, multi-paragraphs, many sentences. This is straightforward so far. It is worth mentioning she's been out on Forerunner for a very, very long time. So maybe a more traditional OG kind of hero. Let's see the final passive. Again, not much reading for your boy. Upon triggering talent or ultimate, basic attack knocks back enemies lasting for 6 seconds. Then it can be 10 seconds. How powerful is the knockback is the question. If it was like 3x power, then there could be some interesting viability potentially for like Edith's role. If you think of Gear Raid 5. However, she's doing magic damage for that lane on the bottom. You need physical damage. That's the only place in the game we need knockback currently. I guess she could buy, you know what she could do? Because she's a cultist. She could be like the way you'd run a 2 tank strat, for example, in the bottom of Gear Raid 4, where you need tons of magic DPS. You know, a lot of times I'll run like Crowdor and Trusk or something, right? Or you could, maybe you want to run Reeve because you get another cultist. You put Reeve in front, you get some nice DPS. She can be doing some proper DPS behind and buying yourself a lot extra time with knockback, even though you have less block because she's a fighter, not a traditional tank. And also they'll be stuck in Reeve's slows longer. Sorry, that's kind of a very specific abstract example, but that's a place where maybe the knockback could work. Keep in mind at the later levels, knockback is fully they're taken away. I think certainly on stage 6 of Gear Raid 4, but maybe even starting on Gear Raid stage 5, they do not. They call it displacement effects. So like knockback, vortex, those things are fully nerfed. There's immunity. But for earlier stages, maybe there's viability there. I don't know. I'm kind of reaching. I think this is useless. Like a magic damage dealer knockback that isn't a tank, so can't be in front. Clearly, her whole kit wants her to be behind someone. I don't see it doing too much. Let's say early stages Gear Raid 4 could be really nice. In general, might just have really, really nice DPS for Gear Raid 4 though. We can test that out if you guys want to see. All in all, I think she sounds quite good. I think she could be really, really good for Conqueror, right? That's kind of what I'm seeing here. Tons of AoE, nice penetration, nice damage increase. You could easily have someone in front of her and Conquer, you know, put her behind a Reeve. She's getting slows to make, you know, if you're running a Cultist Lord, like you're running a Morrigan or something, just for the Lord skill. She could get that benefit from Reeve slows. Reeve will get the benefit. He's my #1 DPS for Conqueror, even with my Ardia and my Valk and stuff, right? The way I run my team. Get that nice penetration, get the nice damage increase for both her and Reeve or Gon or whoever you're running in front. I'm thinking Conqueror that's like the #1 thing, you know, coming to me right now. Obviously, she'll be pretty good for Gear Raid 1. Gear Raid 4, there should be decent viability. I don't know about the later stages. Void Rift, she should be very, very good. You know, not everyone has a Zealotue, right? Not everyone has a Valkyra. This is just straight up strong AoE DPS in a fighter. I think she's someone a lot of people are going to want to pull for. Let's go to the Awakenings and see what happens with that. When deployed, immediately restores 5 cost. Okay, so she's like the only not like straight up cost regenerator unit, you know, someone like a Narvi, Cyrene, or Dallin that is going to have this built into her kit. I guess you have like Elwyn and her Wood Elf, but this is really cool. So you get her A1, and then just by deploying her, you're getting 5 costs. So she's 20 costs, but basically it's like a 5% off. Excuse me, it's a 5 cost off, a 25% off on the cost. So really just, it's like she costs 15 now. They could easily write that. I guess the difference is now you have to wait for her to reach 20 to do it and like get your 5 cost rebate. But still quite interesting. A2, I'm assuming it's attack. It is. So this will bring her up over 4,600. Now A3, after an ally dies in range, attacks 5 more targets for 12 seconds. They really want her having an ally dying in range. Pretty interesting. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Conquer. Maybe you put Cerberus in front of her. I don't know. Maybe you time it out that way, right? You have her in the back. You do one of those strats where you wait towards later in the battle to use your Cerberus. And then that's when you're going to drop him in. You strategically get him to ult, then die at the right time. He does crazy damage after death. And then she gets a big boost, hitting the 5 additional targets. So a full 10-hitter AoE, as well as the other cool stuff that happens here, the 70% increased crit damage. Again, Conqueror is jumping off the page for me. Let me know what you guys think. Another 8% penetration, so she already has the 10% baked in. Now it's another 8, so basically she's always ignoring 18% of magic res. That's really good. And then during the ultimate, increases attack speed by 100. That's a great ult. That's a great awakening, excuse me. Is that a good A5? getting a character A5, and like a lot of this happens to Silas, this happens to Valkyra at A1. This has happened to her at A5. All in all, she seems like a very, very solid hero. Like, I think she's going to bring some nice magic DPS, nice AoE. I don't know how much more. There's not much more here than that, right? There's like, she can help some other people deal a little more DPS in these kind of very specific situations where you're fitting someone in front of her. Like maybe she could be really good in arena. You know, a lot of times you're going to want to have someone tanking in front of her in arena, and yeah, maybe that person, I think her and Reeve would be a really nice synergy. You know, someone that can tank and deal a nice chunk of damage. Obviously, they're of the same faction. I like her. She's not like world breaking at all, but she should be darn strong. There should be a lot of content she can shine in. I think a lot of people, so especially if you don't have a entirely filled out roster, she could immediately find a spot. And I'm sure we'll discover other things as things progress. I think I could probably fit her into my Conqueror team right away. So even endgame, I think I'm seeing a use for her. She's someone I would love to snag on my team. I like the simplicity in this kit and that it's not so overly complicated. Like so many of them tend to be. Made my life a lot easier. Let me know what you guys think. Are you going to go for Magda? I think I probably will delay my summoning until Friday so I can do a little pity manipulation. If you guys want a full video on me explaining that again, essentially, when you are pulling on a limited hero, if you have not pulled that hero before 250, you are guaranteed that number 250 will be that hero. So if you have not pulled Dahlia by 250, you're guaranteed that that 250th summon will be Dahlia. That guaranteed tally you're building is completely separate than the pity tally, the pity you're accumulating, right? So let's say you're on the Dahlia banner, you pull, I'm doing a short version of this now, you do like 30 pulls and you hit a legendary. If you do, let's say it's 80, that's actually a better example. You get 80, then you go pull up to 240. That you pulled the legendary at 80, now you made all the way to 240. You're another 160 into pity, but you're only 10 away from knowing you're guaranteed that in 10 pulls you're hitting Dahlia. Better go make use of that pity on a different banner, aka this Magna Constance banner we're gonna get. So then you're only like 40 pulls, 50 pulls away, you hit, and then you can go back and you're still only 10 away from Dahlia, because that guaranteed tally is different than the pity tally. That's the short version of it. It's a nice little pity manipulation. Definitely something I think I will do. You know, it's a luxury if you're able to do it. It means you've got some nice flexibility. You can see I've got a good amount of diamonds. I've been saving my rare summons. To be perfectly frank, in about a week, I should be getting some more diamonds from the devs for my content creator rewards. Let me know if you guys are interested in that. I think probably we will end up doing 2 pulls parties. So like for people that want to get Dahlia right away on Wednesday, and then people that might want to do a little bit of both on Friday. I'm excited though, guys. It's a cool time in Watcher of Realms. A lot of banging banners. I've been Fastidious. If you like my stuff, be sure to like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, get in the comments, let me know what you think, share with your mother, and I'll see you real soon.
Fastidious.